first, my thanks to the organizers for making time for us to speak. The FDA has really appreciated the work that we've done with the Indian pharmaceutical industry in the last years that COVID has been upon us, and want to make sure that you understand how important that partnership is and how valuable it has been for the U.S. as well as the totality of the medical products development and manufacturing. By way of background, I am the Deputy Director in the Center for Drugs, and so my focus today is going to be on drug manufacturing, although I know there are many other elements of the work that the Indian pharmaceuticals and other manufacturing groups are doing for the American public. If I could have the next slide, please. What I'm going to try to do in the 20 minutes that have given to me is just talk very briefly about the things that the FDA has been doing to confront the challenges in the world that we find, the challenges related to COVID, the challenges related to manufacturing, with a goal of identifying things that the FDA can do to clarify the path towards efficient and high quality medical products manufacturing and focus on the production of those products for the American and the international populations. Next slide, please. This first slide is just to make the general point that drugs are like any other consumer product. When consumers look to use a consumer product, they expect that they will be produced to high quality, whether it's a phone, it's a pill, it's a computer. We need to think about them in a quality way in order to make sure that they're available and meet the expectations of our consumers. Next slide, please. To drive home the point, patients expect safe, effective, and high-quality medicines whenever they take them. And I've inserted high quality because I think it's an important development in the pharmaceuticals industry, is that we now understand the absolutely critical nature of quality manufacturing. It's a change, I would say, from perhaps where we were a couple of decades ago, and it's a welcome change. I think it's overdue. Next slide, please. Let's start by talking about the things that are making high quality manufacturing a challenge for us to accomplish. Next slide, please. It begins by just stating the obvious, that COVID has stressed the manufacturing sector in the same way that it's stressed many other sectors of our economies, and magnified existing challenges that had existed before COVID, whether it's information about current states of drug manufacturing, the supply chains. Transportation, for instance, has been a particular challenge, as we all know, and shortages related to manufacturing intermediates and precursor elements, all made harder by the varying demands placed on the system by COVID. Next slide, please. These challenges are magnified by the nature of the pharmaceutical industry. It is a very diverse, very heterogeneous, very geographically disparate industry, with facilities located in many parts of the world. India obviously has a very important presence in terms of active pharmaceutical ingredients and other key production areas. There is a complex supply chain as a consequence of that heterogeneous and geographically disparate nature of the manufacturing group. And then there is, in many areas of manufacturing, absence of a quality management oversight. And the last two sessions have talked about that, the need for impactful and effective quality by design, for instance, includes managing inventories, includes maximizing product use effectively. Next slide, please. We are also challenged by the sheer size of the human drugs manufacturing sector. I won't go through these numbers. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with them. Thousands and thousands of facilities making many thousands of products make it challenging for effective oversight and management. Next slide, please. And then to just drive home the point, this just reminds us that there is an extensive grid of manufacturing across the globe, with many drug products manufactured outside the US, which is the focus of my agency, of course, and many of the active pharmaceutical ingredients manufactured in India and China, introducing geographic issues with regards to manufacturing. Next slide, please. So what has the FDA been doing to adapt to these challenges, especially in the time of COVID? Next slide, please. First, of course, we remember the focus. The goal of the work we are all about is making those high quality medicines available to the public. And so enhancing our understanding of the drug distribution and demands and preventing shortages of those products has to be goal one when it comes to pharmaceuticals. That means we need to be communicating with the entirety of the industry, working with manufacturers to understand the nature of the demands that they're facing, collaborating with other agencies and manufacturers to identify early signals of concern that could lead to shortages, and then doing everything that we can to mitigate those and prevent a shortage from occurring. Drug shortage staff at the FDA reports to me, and I meet with them several times a week to go over in very great detail each of the products that we see raising concerns, to make certain that we're doing everything we can to avert an actual national shortage. Next slide, please. We also understand the importance of communicating that work, and you can go to our website and you can see the latest information, all of the information that we're able to share legally about current shortages and what can be done if you're a patient looking to use that product, or if you're a healthcare provider and you're looking to prescribe that product. Last year, with this work, we were able to prevent over 300 shortages from occurring. We identified the risk, we took actions, a variety of different kinds, and we're able to prevent a shortage from occurring, an important milestone given everything else that's been going on in COVID. Obviously, we've been doing that through a variety of mechanisms. Enforcement action or enforcement discretion is one important tool that we have to use, and then making certain that what we're doing doesn't get in the way, making certain that everything that the FDA is doing with regards to our own processes is as efficient and time added and time valued as possible. So we're part of the solution, if you will, and we're not in any way impeding the response. Next slide, please. This is just a set of some of the things that we did in the last couple of years during the COVID experience in response to the challenges that I mentioned. We have expedited assessment of drugs. We have provided feedback directly to sponsors around CMC issues. We have implemented alternative tools, and speakers earlier today have talked about the alternative tools that have been used in lieu of inspections where appropriate, to reduce the time, make it possible for products to be on the market. And we've issued guidances and regulatory information outlining those flexibilities that we're prepared to take. And then we have engaged with international regulators and with industry partners across the world to identify what additional steps that could be taken, either as an agency or in combination with other agencies, to be, as I said, part of the solution, to make certain that we are doing all we can to support quality manufactured drugs getting to the public. Next slide, please. We have also talked to manufacturers one-on-one. My drug shortage staff probably calls groups that are represented on this phone today to talk with them about the details of specific drug products when issues arise, to identify solutions, identify things that the agency can do. Once those potential solutions are identified, we apply a risk-based approach to identify changes that could occur in the regulatory oversight, whether that's changes in post-approval submissions, for instance, to provide flexibility with regards to data requirements and submissions, or holding additional meetings with sponsors to answer questions related to specific product development to make certain that we don't face a shortage. And as I mentioned before, applying regulatory discretion wherever it is appropriate for these high quality, these high profile, high priority products that are potentially in shortage. Next slide, please. It's important to remind everyone that we are applying the same quality standards in this work as we would in any other work. We're not reducing the standards that we apply in order to make these products available. We are, however, open to and actively using alternative tools, and I'll speak about those in a bit more. We have used the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act in innovative ways to request information in lieu of an inspection wherever possible. We have obviously relied on mutual recognition agreements with EU and the United Kingdom, an important development in my own eyes, and worked with other regulatory authorities to make use of the information they collect to be sure we're collecting only what's necessary and we're not adding anything additional. And then remote interactive evaluations has been mentioned previously. Inspections have been challenged by COVID. We have to acknowledge that. And we've had to make certain that the safety of our inspectorate, the safety of everyone that's involved is paramount in our minds. And we've used a resiliency roadmap to identify times when we're able to go into a facility and times when we're not yet able to do that. Next slide, please. This is just a slide about the inspectional activities and where we are at present. And I updated this with the latest information from our inspectorate. We have seen a decline in COVID across the country, and so we have been able to resume our U.S. domestic inspections as of February 7th. We are continuing to conduct both foreign and domestic international critical inspections, including the use of remote assessments. We are planning for additional foreign surveillance inspections, and some of them have, we hope that some of them will be able to go with an anticipated goal of conducting foreign prioritized inspections beginning in April. Again, with a focus on maintaining the safety of all of the parties that are involved. Next slide, please. The use of these tools has made a difference. So I outlined the various things that we've done, the numbers of shortages that we've been able to avert. We have also been able to reduce the need for pre-approval inspections. So using the tools that I just mentioned, we've reduced the numbers of pre-approval inspections by about 50%. We've identified a fraction of applications that do not warrant pre-approval inspections. As you can see, around 20%. A meaningful number, a meaningful and important step, I think, in identifying efficiencies. We have, as a consequence of this, developed and approved many new therapeutics for the treatment of COVID-19. 60 original applications, over 1,400 supplements, mostly for generic drugs. An important accomplishment given all of the challenges on the regulators. And we have done this maintaining a greater than 90% overall on-time rate for the application review. We have, as you probably know, we have a set of goals that we have agreed to with industry. We've been able to meet those goals over 90% at the time across all of the user fee goals, something that we take very seriously. Next slide, please. So what does the future hold? The idea here is these last things I've been talking about have been about reacting to the challenges that we face. But we know that as the future unfolds, we are going to see more challenges, whether it's challenges from hurricanes, it's challenges from additional infectious diseases, We have to find a way to make ourselves as ready as possible for those next set of challenges. And here again, I think this conference and the discussions that you've already had point the way for that. The way to prevent, the way to be ready for the next catastrophe, the next challenge is fundamentally to improve the process that we're using to manufacture high quality products. Next slide, please. Quality management maturity was talked about earlier this morning with the talks about quality by design. I won't go through this because I think this audience in particular is very familiar with quality management maturity. Long term, this kind of cultural change, this kind of fundamental approach to business process, business culture is essential when we look to consistently implement and maintain a quality of products of manufacturing. So we need to move towards improvements in quality management maturity. FDA is committed to doing all that we can to support this. We believe that metrics, what we call so-called quality metrics, are an important element of this by giving industry and the regulators an ability to have a common language about the progress that's been made by one industry, one agency, one manufacturing site with regards to quality manufacturing. Next slide, please. We also think that QMM is built on important blocks that form a foundation to encourage its uptake and use throughout the industry, whether that's CGMPs, which are obviously baseline for all of us, ICH Q10, which we believe is foundational in the same way with regards to how QMM might be used in the manufacturing of pharmaceuticals, and then ultimately the longer term progress that I mentioned before around a cultural change as it relates to QMM, as it relates to quality manufacturing throughout the life cycle. Next slide, please. We also, like some of the previous speakers, believe that advanced manufacturing is an essential element to improving quality manufacturing. There's obviously a great deal of interest in this, and it's something that we could talk about for a long time. We are a strong proponent of the use of advanced manufacturing. I have a team ready to talk to anyone that wants to come in and have the conversation with us about advanced manufacturing around a novel technology, a novel approach to the development of a product, with a goal of identifying new tools that we may not yet have understood, so that we can help you bring them into your facilities, make use of them, work them through the regulatory pathways to make certain that they're taken up and used quickly and efficiently. Next slide, please. We believe that advanced manufacturing and QMM both have the capacity to address the underlying causes of drug shortages by mitigating future production problems. We believe that it will help us with episodic challenges like COVID or earthquakes or hurricanes. It will also help in a more sustained way to build a quality manufacturing product. We believe it's going to help with novel therapies. We also think it's going to improve manufacturing efficiency. We believe that there is a gain for manufacturers that use continuous manufacturing with regards to the resources that are necessary to long-term to manufacture products. So a win for everyone, a win for the patients, a win for the industry, and something that will help the regulatory approach as well. Next slide, please. I'm going to end by just simply first, again, thanking the organizers for including me in this talk, in this important meeting today. FDA stands ready to do all that we can. We have had a unique and enormous challenge as a group, pharmaceutical industry, regulators, patients, in the last years with COVID. And I believe we have risen to that challenge in important and valuable ways. And the public has been the beneficiary of that work.